welcome to Shooby Dooby Doo Up, a podcast where we talk about pop music, specifically by deep diving a randomly chose UK chart top 10 from the past. Well, bless our soul, what's wrong with us? The sun comes down with a burning glow. The old hooty owl hooties to the dove. That's because they're so young and we're so old. My name's Andy Robinson.
And I'm James Cook.
And what UK randomly chose chart top 10 from the past are we looking at this week, James?
We are looking at the top 10 chart from the 2nd of October 1957.
A long time ago. I always loved doing a chart when neither of us were alive, James, because it makes me less nostalgic and looking back at my life.
How many of these songs did you know before we started listening?
I knew, I'm going to say a good 50% of them at least. Now, 20% are by a specific artist who I'm going to bang on about. So some of these records, despite I've known some of these songs 50 years, James. It was discombobulating. Let's put 1957 into a kind of context. Get this, I had a little look at the news, James, right? Sputnik was launched in 1957, which made everyone concerned about Russian dominance. There was the first British hydrogen bomb was tested at Christmas Island, so everyone was worried about nuclear war. There was also the vaccine against the Asian flu, and people were sort of sceptic about this vaccine. I mean, it's the old days, James. There's nothing reminiscent now.
Things change and things stay the same. Do you know what happened 4 months before this?
Before the 2nd of October 1957, to reiterate. No, I don't.
A little band called the Quarrymen were formed.
They're always about the Beatles, aren't they? There's also loads of rock and roll music in this top 30. A whole lot of shaking going on by Jerry Lee Lewis. Bye Bye Love by the Everly Brothers. That'll Be the Day by Buddy Holly and the Crickets.
I have, of course, got stats about the charts.
I have missed your stats, even from such a golden era. Let's hear them.
There are 2 UK number ones in this top 10, 6 non-movers, 2 going up, 2 going down, with a net movement of 0. There are 7 American artists, 3 British and 1 Canadian, 8 soloists and 2 bands that consist of the name of a solo artist and the name of their backing band.
The name and the backing band?
Greedy, if you ask me. There are 4 cover versions and 4 songs from films.
Amazingly, for 1957, there are no examples of either self-reference or key changes, so that was a little bit disappointing. By my reckoning, there are 2 songs about travel, 2 songs with women's names, 2 songs about betrayal, and 2 songs about physical sensation. It's pleasing, isn't it, that balance? Loads of 2x2s.
See if you can match up the songs into the right categories as we go.
We like to remind you that this top 10, we have provided a Spotify playlist, also a YouTube playlist in the descriptions. Always like to say, James, don't we? Why don't you give these songs a listen? And it will be a quick listen this week because they're very short songs, most of them, aren't they?
You can rattle through the whole thing in half an hour. So with that extra time that you're saving, why not head on to wherever you get your podcast from and rate and review this podcast? And look, I know that's easier said than done, and there are podcasts that I've been listening to for 10, 15 years that I listen to all the time, and I haven't rated and reviewed them. But this week I am going to go and rate and review those podcasts that I've been listening to the whole time. So I'm hoping that the people who are listening to this will do the same, because it's the most useful thing you can do for us to help us reach out and find other people who'd enjoy this kind of nonsense.
Leading by example, James, great idea.
And if you become a Patreon backer of Shooby Dooby Doo Up, you will get access to the Bonus Tracks podcast, in which we look at 6 songs from the rest of the chart on this day that never got into the top 10, apart from one of them, because Andy's broken the rules again.
I sometimes forget or don't look into it. I bring much shame upon myself and the country.
Includes Pat Boone, Peter Sellers, Johnny Ray, 3 songs that feature in The Muppet Show, which I'm very excited about, and a song with a smutty title.
As regular listeners will know, if we don't mention the Muppets, we've failed, haven't we?
Yeah. You can join our Patreon community for free. The Bonus Tracks podcast costs less than a plastic lawn flamingo a month.
Very popular in 1957, I'm led to believe, a plastic lawn flamingo. Well, having said that, I think we're all ready to go. Let's have a deep dive of this top 10. We're itching like men on fuzzy trees.
Number 10.
It's a non-mover at number 10 this week. It's Debbie Reynolds with the beautiful song Tammy. I've already given away a little bit of a clue what I made of this song by saying it's beautiful. My apologies. Let's move on. What's number 9?
I suppose it is beautiful, but I also find it very unsettling.
Go on.
It's a lullaby, essentially, isn't it? But it has got that slightly woozy feeling to it, like, there's something in my drink.
Yeah.
And I'm falling asleep, and it's a horror movie.
I'm delighted you've brought this up straight away. Do you know why I think this might be?
Why?
Because have you heard of songs being recorded these days? A lot of digital software, isn't there? There's a lot of quantizing, they say, what they call on-the-grid recording, when it's all to the beat. It's all matched partly because of technology. Now, Debbie Reynolds and everybody else involved in this was not bothered about this time because it shifts, doesn't it? It's in a slow waltz. It comes and goes. It speeds up. It slows down. I'm imagining there's a work of a conductor on this beautiful record. Me, personally, I think that's the reason for your, let's call it, uneasiness, because it's a slightly shifting time melody. I mean, if you go in... I hear the cottoners whisper above, and then they'll drag it out, you know. Tammy, champ deuce. We've got to change copyright. Sammy's in love. You know what I mean? But it's all the whole hooty owl, hooty hoots to the dove. Tammy. All that kind of thing. So it kind of shifts about in speed.
Yeah, like an old-timey record player that you have to wind up.
Exactly.
And it starts to wind down and it gets a bit slow. I was familiar with this song.
I'm going to stop you going to those Debbie Reynolds clubs where you all night. It's
The all-night Debbie Reynolds rave. Well, no, it wasn't the Debbie Reynolds version. When I listened to this for the podcast, I went, I've heard this. Where have I heard this? And it's in the Avalanches album, Since I Left You.
Oh, they use a sample?
It's sampled in one of the tracks, which is called A Different Feeling. And it's got the Tammy's in love. It's that bit. Isn't it? Oh my God, it's that.
Excellent.
And I found it unsettling on the Avalanches album as well.
Yeah. I mean, I thought this record, this song, its sentiment is absolutely beautiful, me personally.
So she's singing about, she is Tammy, Debbie Reynolds.
That's confused me for a few years. I don't think I really realised that to this week, that the Tammy is about herself, isn't it? A bit like the song Amy, Amy, Amy by Amy Winehouse, where she talks to herself about men in trouble and, come on, Amy, 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 you got to sort it out. So, you know, that's good.
Yeah, she's singing in the third person, almost like if Alan Shearer released a single.
Now, on the YouTube comments, James, you know I always like to go to YouTube comments. Now, there's an idea, isn't there, that the British philosophy, if you like, is we don't really like to mention death. We sweep it under the carpet. Go to YouTube comments if you want to argue with this, because there's loads of people talking about how this song reminds them of their dead mother, their dead father, this, that and the other. A lot of grief expressed in YouTube comments. However, Miami7 says, how did we ever get from those incredible days to where we are today? That's the kind of nostalgia that's in these comments.
The nostalgia that slags off modern life. That's the nostalgia we like.
This is good. Rig5006 on YouTube says he remembers a Chicago DJ playing this song in 1959 with the intro, he should have stayed with this one. So the DJ from all the way back is listening to Debbie Reynolds express her love and thinking that's a perfect woman.
We should point out that as you have often spoken about on this podcast, Debbie is singing this in character.
In character?
As Tammy, because this is from the movie Tammy and the Bachelor, IMDb rating 6.9. The first of 4 Tammy movies, in which an innocent girl from the bayou, Tammy, falls in love with some highfalutin big city type. In this one, the first one, the big city type that she falls in love with is played by none other than Leslie Nielsen.
Really?
Yes, a young Leslie Nielsen. I have watched the trailer for it, and it's very, very hard to take it seriously because Leslie Nielsen's in it.
Yeah, right.
And you expect him to, fall over or make a fart noise or something at any point. There's a disapproving mother, played by Fay Wray, off of King Kong. And I'm not making this up, a subplot involving genetically modified tomatoes.
Really?
It is the only film in the Tammy cinematic universe, which I'm referring to as, where...
The TCU?
The TCU, where Debbie Reynolds plays Tammy.
Do you think that fans of the TCU got as upset as fans of the Marvel Universe do when the film doesn't match their expectations. I can't believe Tammy didn't marry that man. It's also featured, apparently I learned in the YouTube comments, it's in The Big Lebowski. I don't remember that. It's also in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, some people are saying. I've seen both of them films. I don't remember it.
Yeah,
It wasn't the TCU, so I dispute it.
It's 2 movies about taking loads of drugs. Yep, I can see that completely.
And of course, let's talk about Debbie Reynolds in a movie. I mean, I don't know that much about her, but she was Singing in the Rain.
Yep. Singing in the Rain, probably her most famous movie.
And one of the greatest films ever made, definitely. That's a fact. And often, like this, James, is just our opinion. Email us in to shubipodcast@gmail if we get anything wrong or you disagree or you want to agree, or even if you just want to let off some steam. Debbie Reynolds, at least in Singing in the Rain. I'm in love with her a little bit. That's another ghost I'm in love with. Good morning, lovely.
Who was 1 when this song came out?
In 1957, who was 1 year old in 1956. So, go on, James. I don't know. But
tangentially associated with what we're talking about.
With Singing in the Rain. Was it Malcolm McDowell from Clockwork Orange? He beat somebody up and brutally attacked him, didn't he?
No.
Singing in the Rain. I'm bringing that in for some reason. Who was it?
Carrie Fisher, daughter of Debbie Reynolds.
Great. We're really delving into the old showbiz facts with this record. I like it.
Yeah, well, it's a song from a movie. The song written by Jay Livingston and Ray Evans, 3-time Academy Award winners for Best Song. This doesn't, but it is nominated. Their other hits include Que Sera Sera, Mona Lisa, Silver Bells, and the themes to Bonanza and Mr. Ed.
I liked it 'cause it made me look up a word. You know, the line I quoted in Let's Call It the Intro, the old whipple-wool hooty-hoos to the dove. I had to look up what a whipple-wool was. Do you know?
It's a little bird,
You
isn't it?
got it. You're cleverer than me.
Yeah. I think we all know that.
YouTube comments, this was good. A lot of them were going on about how tender the vocal was. I thought it was a good word for it, tenderness to this song.
It is a tender vocal.
Now, you know, last week I was going on about 2 Unlimited and walking away from my cupboard in the kitchen singing, there's no, there's no biscuits. You remember
That's
that?
not how that song goes.
What?
It's not that.
No,
It's not just sort of, there's no. It's not that.
No. I can do it. No. You get the gist anyway. As you know, James, I always like this notion. So on YouTube, the Brothers 3971 talks about this story. He says when this came out, they had a girl next door called Pamela who was always climbing over into their garden. So they sing, Pammy, get off the fence, which is quite nice.
If you've got a friend called Pamela or Samantha or Samuel or anything like that.
Rami?
Rami, is that a name?
Wasn't he?
Rami Malek.
Yeah.
The makers of Bohemian Rhapsody could have done a version of this.
Andy's close enough, James. Knock yourself out about something. Andy, go on, do one. You can do it. Just say something.
If one arises during the podcast, then I'll do it then.
Ronan Daly 7777 says, for 65 years I've been singing Terry's in Love. It's a beautiful song that makes me feel good, but I think I'll stick with Terry. So it's up to you.
What did she think the words were? Terry's in love.
Ronan Daly 7777. Yeah, he did think it was Terry for some reason. Get your ears syringed, Ronan.
Apparently, the song "Hopelessly Devoted" in Greece is sort of an homage to this record.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I can believe it. It's classic songwriting. The chords, the melody are all beautiful. Let's call it all within the key, and it's so effective.
And there's an internet rumour.
Oh, yeah. I like it when you get into internet rumours. What's it about? Donald Trump?
No. Well, here's the thing. I've been chasing the citations of this rumour around the internet, and they go in a circle. So I can't find the primary source of this bit of information, because it might just be someone's made this up and then loads of other people have copied it. But apparently, Berry Gordy wanted to call his record label Tammy Records because of this song.
I get you. For those who do not know, Berry Gordy, of course, boss of Motown, which was known as Tamla Motown. Just do some explaining, James, for the people who
No, that's fine. Do some Tam-splaining. And there was already a record company called Tammy Records, so he's like, oh, I'll call it Tamla then. But I can't find out whether that's true.
It doesn't matter. It's just something we've heard. We're not In fact, none of the content of all the other shows we've done, we don't know any of it's true, really. So please feel free, shubipodcast@gmail.com, etc., etc.
Yeah, if very good, you could get in touch.
Number 9.
A non-mover at number 9, ironically, it's Paralysed. That's probably why it's not moving.
Who's paralysed by?
By Elvis Presley. Everybody strap in. Here comes Andy.
Woohoo! I mean, it's Paralysed by Elvis Presley. I have known this record since a young man. I'm going to say close to 50 years. That's given my age away, even though there was a chance in 1957 never to disclose it. I mean, it's an absolute joy, this song, isn't it? I like that it's a 3-chorder. Anyway, before I bang onto it, as you say, tell me what you thought of it. Written by Otis Blackwell. I know that for a fact. He also wrote the next song coming up. Spoiler alert.
Otis Blackwell, he wrote a whole bunch of songs. He wrote Return to Sender. He wrote Don't Be Cruel, Great Balls of Fire, and Fever.
Yep.
What a back catalogue.
Excellent.
By Otis Blackwell. He's only down as a co-writer on this track, isn't
really?
he?
I don't know. I didn't look into it too much. I just used my knowledge. Why? Who else wrote it?
Oh, well, apparently Elvis Presley co-wrote it as well.
Really?
Yes, there was some kind of deal going on there where someone got themselves half the royalties.
For sure. Colonel Tom Parker, let's blame him. Everybody likes to do that since that film came out, and it's probably true anyway. I mean, there's a lovely version of Otis Blackwell doing the demo of this song, which I have lent into over the years, because I can't get enough of this song. I think it's so cool.
In a tragically ironic twist, in 1991, Otis Blackwell was paralysed
Oh, really?
by a stroke.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he wasn't singing every morning how happy he was, like Elvis, I would imagine. Is he happy? Because I don't think he is in this song. It's joyful, and you may just be looking the wrong way because of its sheer exuberance of the music. But the lyrics, what's my favourite lyric in that? Is maybe the last verse, the last stanza, when he goes, "Do you remember that wonderful time when you held my hand and swore that you'd be mine? In front of the preacher you said I do. I couldn't say a word for thinking of you. All I could do was stand there paralysed." I mean, that's great, isn't it? He's in the church. He's so overcome with love, he can't even fulfil his vows.
Really, it's a song about a man with crippling social anxiety.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit. I mean, it's got all that going on. Now, I like it. Let's choose a key. It goes, so let's see. When you looked in, it's that kind of thing. When copyright, you looked into my eyes. What I like is this little bass noise, I think it is, all throughout the record. So he's going, when you looked into my boodle-doop, boodle-doop, I looked there like I was hypnotized. Boodle-doop, boodle-doop, boodle-doop. It's a mad bit of recording that you don't hear on many rock and roll records from that era. Boodle-doop, all the way through it.
But one thing you do hear on a lot of rock and roll records, and this is an example of it, is Hot Banana.
Yeah. All right, then let's do it.
The backing vocals.
Let's do it where you think the Hot Banana should go, Nigella. When you looked into my eyes.
Hot banana. Hot banana.
I had a microwave.
Hot banana. Hot banana.
I put something yellow into the oven, and you know I had about a dozen. All I could do was have a
Hot banana.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. You're like the Jordanaires if they were.
Is that who is doing the Hot Banana? Is it the Jordanaires?
I imagine so, yeah.
Yeah.
Hot Banana.
There's also like it's not a drum, is it? It's someone like it's not even a hand clap. It's like someone slapping their thigh.
Yes,
is
I
the
believe.
rhythm.
Well, spoiler alert. That's coming up in the very next record. Yeah, there's some certainly percussive elements going on. Are you aware of a project called the $1 Million Quartet?
No.
Okay, so
Is this the night where Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, Carl Perkins, and Jerry Lee Lewis?
you got it.
We're all in the same recording studio.
Sun Studios. Elvis goes to return to that studio, which gave him his break, if you like. Now, I don't really think Johnny Cash is on the recording. I think he was just there for the photo shoot. The story goes he had to go shopping with his wife. So essentially, you've got Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, and they're singing old songs. I really recommend listening to this if you're this way interested, because also what they do there is Elvis talks about seeing a singer, which is Jackie Wilson, in Las Vegas, and then he talks about Paralysed, which is his new record, and then he talks about how Jackie Wilson sang it and what he's going to do. I love it. I do. It's a little recording. Obviously, it's eavesdropping, but when you're eavesdropping on Elvis, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee. I love it because Jerry Lee gets a bit competitive with Elvis. He wants to sing along. It's an absolute beauty. And Paralysed is one of the songs they kind of have a little jam with. The $1 Million Trio, rather, I think, but nonetheless. On YouTube comments, Thomas Joseph 4718 says that the Elvis songs from this era are some of the most beautiful music ever made by mankind, regardless of category.
By mankind.
Regardless of category?
By puny humans. It makes it sound like he's an alien who's trying to pass.
I thought that was going to be a nice thing to say.
Number 8.
Down 1 to 8 this week. It's a former number 1. It's only All Shook Up by only Elvis Presley again.
He's at number 9 and number 8 in the chart this week.
Yeah, and I think there's another record, Teddy Bears, in the top 30 lurking around I looked at.
It's almost like he's really popular in the late 50s.
Yeah.
It's a former US number 1 as well. It was the second biggest seller in the UK in 1957 and Elvis's first UK number 1. He'd already had 5 in America by the time this came out.
I mean, this is one of my favourite things to talk about, James, as you can imagine. We are going to talk about Paul McCartney and Elvis Presley in the same sentence. Now, Macca, he likes to tell stories quite a lot, doesn't he? But I suppose because he's asked all the time the same things, he will often say, I remember, John, when I wrote, Hey Jude, the movement you need is on your shoulder. And John looked at me. What's his other classics he always likes to bang out?
Yesterday came to me in a dream.
That's another one, of course, etc., etc. Now, another story he likes to tell a lot is this record, All Shook Up by Elvis Presley, he puts on to make him feel happy when he's just feeling a little bit low. It reminds him of being a youth. And again, I imagine it's 2.5 minutes of absolute joy. The percussive element you alluded to in the last song, again, Elvis is on this, he's slapping the back of his guitar on this one.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It sounds like someone slapping their thigh.
Is that, you know...
Okay.
Oh, bless my soul. Yep. I like all the gaps. So when he goes, I'm in love, I'm all shook up. He has different ways of addressing the little gaps. So sometimes he goes, I'm in love. Sometimes he goes, I'm in love. I'm all shook up. Sometimes he hits his guitar, I'm in love. I'm all shook up. Lovely.
If the song was longer, he could have really got into a sound effects catalogue, couldn't he?
Yeah.
I'm in love. I'm all shook up.
I'm in love. Doing. I'm all...
Hey, maybe one of the reasons it makes Paul McCartney so happy is because apparently this was a song that the Quarrymen were playing the day he met John Lennon.
Really?
So says the book John, Paul and Me by Len Gary.
Well, Len Gary would know. He was a quarryman. James, let me tell you about myself as a young boy. No, we were very poor in our house. There was no income floating about. We lived a very frugal life. I'm just saying that for my credentials. It always seems to be better than saying, I had a Space Invaders machine in my bedroom. We didn't have a Space Invaders machine. What I had were a few Elvis records that my dad had lurking around. The early ones, Rock and Roll Volume 2, for LP fans only, Gold Records Volume 1. I mean, everything you need is on there. Not everything you need, but certainly a great... Certainly.
Yeah, there's no food, water and shelter on it.
No,
but...
thinking about it. I like it again. All Shook Up. It's the exact opposite of the physical sensation of Paralysed.
It is. Do you know how this song was written?
No, please tell me.
Well, Otis Blackwell, again, he said he wrote the song at the offices of Shalimar Music in 1956 after Al Stanton, one of the owners of Shalimar, was...
Shalimar?
Yeah.
Not the 80s.
Not the
jazz
80s group. No,
fusion
there was just a
band.
record company called Shalimar. He was shaking a bottle of Pepsi at the time,
Yeah,
and he suggested to Otis Blackwell, hey, you should write a song called All Shook Up.
nice.
That's one story. Other stories include, according to Peter Guralnick, the song has a different origin. In his book, Last Train to Memphis,
Which I have read, an absolute classic detailing the first half of Elvis' career before the second biography, Careless Love or something like that, which is one of the saddest books I've ever read.
well, he wrote that Elvis thought All Shook Up was a good phrase for a refrain, and that's why he has a co-writing credit. Whereas Elvis said, I've never even had an idea for a song. Just once, maybe. I went to bed one night, had quite a dream, and woke up all shook up. I phoned a pal and told him all about it. By morning, he had a new song, All Shook Up. Now, Otis Blackwell says he never met Elvis Presley in person. But that doesn't mean he can't have spoken to him on the phone. But again, Elvis has co-writing credit on the song, which is odd because this is a cover version. And we've kind of alluded to it before because the guy who did it originally has popped up. That's David Hess, using the name David Hill. He said, as far as All Shook Up, the title came from a real set of circumstances, and when I decided not to write it, Otis Blackwell did, and I had the first recording for Aladdin Records. So he says it was him and Otis who came up with it.
I mean, I like the idea of Otis Blackwell saying he never met Elvis. Spoiler alert, this dynamic is going to come up again later in the top 10.
David Hess said Otis wanted Elvis to record the song because Elvis is the biggest star in rock and roll at that time, and the way to get him to record it was to say, I'll give you half the publishing.
For sure. It went on, didn't it, back in the day? Alan Freed, the DJ, he put his name on Maybelline by Chuck Berry. No, let's be honest, Alan Freed was nowhere near Maybelline.
Payola scandals.
Alan Freed, all the other 50s, Payola, get your name on credits, play him on the radio. I mean, 'twas ever thus and still remains the same, if you like, so I don't know.
In 2009, the Performing Rights Society announced that this is the most played Elvis song in public places in the UK of all time ever, at least up to 2009. I can't see it having been surpassed in that time.
I mean, we've talked a lot about it, but why not be like Macca? Head over to Spotify, pop this song on at least, and give yourself a little pick-me-up.
Who else has had a UK chart hit with this song?
All Shook Up.
Yeah, someone else did.
Was it not ZZ Top? Was it...
Similar sort of era.
Yeah, go on, tell me.
Billy Joel.
Oh, really?
To number 27 in 1992 for the movie Honeymoon in Vegas, which starred Nicolas Cage.
Who married?
Yep.
Not Priscilla.
Not Priscilla, no, Lisa Marie.
He just used to pervert her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was Elvis Presley's posthumous son-in-law for 18 months.
Cool.
If you're of a similar vintage to me, the other version of All Shook Up that you know is, of course, when a sort of Bollywood Elvis in a shop is singing Get Your Gums Off My Poppadoms from the advert in the 80s. You're looking at me completely blankly. You don't remember that at all. It was an advert for Walker's Poppadoms, which was a briefly released crisp in the 80s. Right. And their advert was a Sikh guy in an Elvis jumpsuit singing a song about crisps to the tune of All Shook Up. And the chorus was "Get your gums off my poppadoms," which always struck me as really odd because, like, you don't eat crisps with your gums, do you? You're not rubbing them in your gums like you're testing to see if the cocaine's any good.
How does it scan? Get your gums off my poppadoms.
Get your gums off my poppadoms, like that. Right. It should be "Get your thumbs off my poppadoms," because at least with your thumbs, you're using the thumbs to pick the poppadoms out of the crisps.
Or if there's a family gathering going on and loads of the matriarchs are popping out the crisps, get your mums off my poppadoms. I could have done that. I know you like an alternative, James. I'm just joining in.
You don't remember that advert at all?
Look, you are talking about a man I love with one of the most important records ever to me that I still maintain to this day. And you're going on about gums and poppadoms. You're spoiling it for me.
I didn't make the advert. You don't remember it?
No.
Were you not allowed to watch ITV when you were a kid? Are you one of those people?
We didn't have a telly. We were too poor, so I just listened to the 3 Elvis records I had.
He'd have loved them crisps.
He probably would, actually, wouldn't he? Do you know the story about him sending somebody off to get a cheeseburger in a plane or something once because he wanted a cheeseburger at night? He's a madman, Elvis. I liked it. There might have been more going on, to be honest, than him wanting a cheeseburger. Why am I being like this when I want to talk about the beauty of Elvis in being a 21-year-old recording fantastic songs like this? Honestly, Golden Records Volume 1, Golden Records Volume 2, all his pre-army stuff is a real treat. In fact, I think it's some of the most beautiful music ever made by mankind, regardless of category.
Number 7.
Up one place to number 7, it's Wandering Eyes by Charlie Gracie. Gracie was only the second American artist to bring rock and roll to a British concert stage after
Eddie Cochran?
Bill Haley.
Okay.
He toured in 1957 and 1958, and he headlined the Palladium and the Hippodrome in London. In the audience, apparently, at those concerts were Graham Nash and members of the Beatles. Although I haven't found out which ones.
At the Palladium?
Or possibly the Hippodrome in London.
I wonder. Okay, who knows? We'll have to ask someone more expertise than us. Where's Mark Lewison when you need him? I've seen Charlie Gracie, James, say a dozen years ago in New Orleans in a bowling alley at an event called the Ponderosa Stomp. Now, I'm pretty keen on Charlie Gracie, so it was a treat to see him as an old man, you know, doing his Fabulous, etc., these sort of songs. He did Wandering Eyes, I remember it. This was a double A-side I saw on the charts he sent me with a song called I Love You So Much It Hurts.
Yeah.
Now, I was interested why you chose Wandering Eyes as the one to go to.
Thought it was a bit more upbeat.
I love
I know,
it.
and also, I Love You So Much It Hurts is very sort of sincere. And
It's a classic.
I liked Wandering Eyes. I liked
Okay.
that.
We should point out that I Love You So Much It Hurts. That's a classic song that's been recorded by Patsy Cline and Ray Charles. What I like about the Charlie Gracie version, before we move on to Wandering Eyes, is, again, the drama, the conductor element of it. You go, I love you so much, it hurts me. Real drama to it. However, we're not using that record because of James's predilections.
No, Wandering Eyes, which is almost like the opposite of I Love You So Much It Hurts. Or is it a kind of a companion piece? I Love You So Much It Hurts, but you're a wrong 'un.
Well, quite Wandering Eyes, if you like it, there's a notion, isn't there? Charlie Gracie is accusing his lover of having wandering eyes, and he's also saying, well, one day I'm going to have wandering eyes and you'll feel bad.
Yeah, would you like it? I mean, it's not just eyes.
Go on.
Well, if it was just eyes, what's the problem? He sings about when you leave me all alone, so that makes it sound like it's not just the eyes that are wandering.
I get you.
You know, how would you like it if I did some wandering of my own? So I think there's more to it than just the eyes.
Okay, well, that's very pernickety of you, and I appreciate your input. It's a song, isn't it, if you like, of karma. He's saying you're going to feel bad. So why don't we look at brainyquote.com, James, and see if there's any pop stars talking about karma. Which pop star said, I believe in karma, and I believe if you put out positive vibes to everybody, that's all you're going to get back.
Was this person a chameleon? Because that would narrow it down to members of Culture Club.
I get you. That's a song about karma, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I've never fully understood. Doesn't matter.
Also, Karma Police. That's a song about karma.
Yep.
I don't know. It could be anyone. Who believes in karma? Who's a Buddhist?
It was Kesha. Now,
How was I ever going to get that?
No chance. This is another good one. What pop star said this? I'm a great believer in karma, and the vengeance it serves up to those who are deliberately mean is generally enough for me. That was Beth Ditto. Who said this? I don't have any reason to hate anybody. I believe in good karma and spreading good energy. It was Vanilla Ice. Now, this is pretty boring looking at this, James.
You're not letting me guess.
No, I'm not letting you guess, because looking at it, it's impossible. And these pop stars, essentially, the last three I've chose, they're saying either I believe in karma and then explaining what karma is, or they're explaining what karma is and then says I believe in karma at the end of it. So let's get more interesting. This isn't a pop star, but someone maybe associated. Problems or successes, they are all the results of our own actions. Karma, the philosophy of action, is that no one else is a giver of peace or happiness. One's own karma, one's own actions are responsible to come to bring either happiness or success or whatever. Who said that?
I don't know. It's not very catchy, is it?
It was Lee Ryan from Blue. No, it wasn't. It was Maharishi Maheshogi.
You're not going to get that on a poster, are you?
All right then, James. Now, I'm going to give you this one. This isn't a... No, it is a pop star, actually, thinking about it.
All right.
All right, get this. Who said, he or she, you and I have been physically given 2 hands and 2 legs and half-decent brains. Some people have not been born like that for a reason. The karma is working from another lifetime.
Is that Glenn Hoddle? By any
was
chance?
Glenn
Yes.
Hoddle.
I was thinking, all right, so this is someone who's not known for being a pop star but had a pop hit.
Yep.
Yeah, Glenn. And that was the thing that he said that got him sacked from the England manager job.
Got in loads and loads of trouble for it, didn't they?
Yeah, so maybe, keep your karma opinions to yourself. Yeah, Glenn Hoddle said a bad thing about how he believed in karma and then he got sacked.
It was almost...
Which is karma.
Do you remember a few weeks ago we talked about Jamelia and she had a record in the top 10?
Yeah.
Something about dancing and a DJ. Can you remember what it was called?
Yeah, it's called DJ.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I was moaning that I looked at YouTube comments and there were absolutely none at all about Jamelia. The same is true of Charlie Gracie Wandering Eyes. So we started a petition about Jamelia posting more YouTube comments to remind everybody of the song of DJ. So I am suggesting that Wandering Eyes by Charlie Gracie, let's get on it, everybody, and start saying I like this, or at least my cousin died or something listening to it. One of the two. Also, subscribe to us on Patreon and we can really get some things happening.
Number 6.
It's a non-mover. It's number 6. It's Water Water by Tommy Steele.
And the Steelmen.
And the Steelmen, my apologies, I forgot all about them. Let's describe it. It's a calypso, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's got that kind of feel to it, a slight calypso vibe.
Yeah, but that's going to be thrown into stark relief when we start talking about the next song, which is an actual calypso. This is very much Tommy Steele does calypso, which is fine, and it's quite fun. And, water, water everywhere and not a drop to drink. It's kind of about how he is surrounded by attractive women, but he is in a relationship, so he has to behave himself.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, isn't it?
No, I disagree completely.
What do you think it is?
I think you're being far too literal. I think he is surrounded by water, water everywhere, and he's on a boat.
I mean,
it is an allusion to the Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Coleridge or something. He's using that as a lyrical inspiration, isn't he?
Literally, that is what is going on.
Yeah.
Because it's from a movie, we should say. It's from the Tommy Steele story, IMDb rating 5.5, which is loosely based on his life, and it came out when he was 20.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, talk about cashing in on your success, Tommy.
Yep. 2 years later, when he was 22, he was on This Is Your Life. He was getting a lot in very early, wasn't he?
I mean, it was a big hit, so I hear, so I read. I don't know personally, of course, but everything I've alluded to, Tommy Steele, almost the first British rock and roller. He had his song Rockin' with the Caveman. Everybody thought he's a tip for the top, which he kind of was, wasn't he?
Apart from by George Melly, who said Tommy Steele's films are emblematic of the castration of rock and roll.
Okay, well done, George Melly. I mean, he was the real deal, so maybe he spotted that Tommy Steele's, let's call it showbiz aspirations within it.
But in the Tommy Steele story, it covers how he was in the Merchant Navy when he was a teenager, and in that part, that's where he sings the song Water, Water. So yes, he is surrounded by water, but the subtext of the song is that he is in a relationship with a girl who's not around, and therefore he cannot take advantage of things.
I disagree completely, but nonetheless, let's move on. Hey, listen to it on Spotify. We like to recommend people and work out where you think the hell Tommy Steele is. I mean, this was a double A side, I also noticed, James.
Yeah.
I've got a handful of songs to teach you, which is one of my favourite ever songs ever. So again, I'm glad. Why did you choose this one over a handful of songs?
This is actually the A side.
Okay.
This is classified as the A side of the record. That's why, Andy. Sorry, had I known, I would have ignored it.
Again, there's no YouTube comments about this, so let's put them onto Charlie, Gracie and Jamelia list. There is one, though, I liked, actually, which said water, water everywhere. Then Delta 5044 simply puts incontinence.
Song also mentions fish and chips in the lyrics.
Think about roast beef, think about some fish and chips in newspapers. These galley meals are okay, but sausage every day is bad as water, water. Well, that's an example, James, of actually literally being on a ship. Now, this is good. We talked earlier, didn't we, about Otis Blackwell saying he never met Elvis. Tommy Steele, I mentioned this a few weeks ago, but in glancing passing, so let's do it now. There's a story a few years ago, James, about Tommy Steele saying he took Elvis around London at some point in the early 50s. Apparently, I used to think this rumour was because Tommy Steele was kind of lying. As it turns out, I had a little proper look this week. There was a theatre impresario called Bill Kenwright. He appeared on Radio 2 talking to Ken Bruce about this notion. And then when Tommy Steele was asked about it, Tommy said, "I'm really sorry. I hope Elvis can forgive me. It was our secret." Now, everybody says this is absolute bollocks. Tommy Steele and Bill Kenwright. Elvis never came to visit. The Memphis Mafia says we don't remember Elvis going to London for a bit. We were with him every day. So I like the notion of Tommy Steele pretending that he's took. Where would you take Elvis around London for a day out?
Hang on, London now or London in 1958 when this is supposed to have happened?
Let's do it both.
M&M world, probably.
You would love it.
You'd have loved it in Eminem's world.
Where would you take Elvis for a trip anyway around Great Britain when he comes to visit, like Tommy Steele reckons he did?
Wimpy.
Again, he would have liked that. I get you. You very much looked into Elvis's needs. And
I know what he likes.
I'll just take him to the London Eye just to see what he makes of it. Tommy, your story about Elvis Presley, similar to the man himself, I just can't help believing. It's nonsense.
I tell you what is true, because Tommy Steele was like, "Oh, is he going to be the British answer to Elvis? You know, he's releasing rock and roll records, he's in movies," and then that kind of stops, and he goes off to do like theatrical stuff. instead, doesn't he?
Yes, half a sixpence, all this kind of... well, you know, in the early days, as rock and roll was obviously seen as a passing phase, the notion that the rock stars were going to lean into it.
Do you know why he did that?
For money? So he could take Elvis out, buy him some fish and chips and have a sausage?
Yes, obviously his motivating for labour is recompense.
Hey, that reminds, join in for our Patreon while we're here.
No, it's because he did a show in Dundee in 1958 where he was mobbed by fans who pulled out chunks of his hair, ripped his shirt off, and he ended up in hospital because of being mobbed by fans. And he was like, "Don't want to do that anymore."
Would be a trauma.
Yeah, so he stopped doing those kind of gigs and then started doing theatre stuff instead. And other art forms.
Go on.
What connects Eleanor Rigby, Charlie Chaplin, and 2 rugby players?
Is it something to do with statues?
It is.
Yeah, God, that rings a dim and distant bell.
Yes, these are all statues that have been made by Tommy Steele. The Eleanor Rigby statue in Liverpool near the Cavern is by Tommy Steele. He's responsible for a statue outside Twickenham of 2 rugby players, and the Charlie Chaplin statue was outside his old house.
I don't know that much about statue making. Michelangelo says you have to chip away at the block, don't you? They say that the representation is in there. You just have to get all the stuff away from it. I mean, he could have made some better records, I'm suggesting, rather than these statues.
Yeah.
I'm only being silly. I'm not digging this song at all, but he's all right, isn't he?
The Michelangelo thing is, if you want to do a statue of a horse, you get a big block of stone and you take away everything that isn't a horse.
Yes.
So it's a bit like editing this podcast.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. You take away everything that isn't nonsense, and yet seemingly you are left with a load of nonsense still.
You should hear the shit we cut out.
Yeah. I mean, I was really surprised that racist rant you came out with earlier, James, but...
You say you're not digging this song. I have been singing it all the time.
Have you?
Yeah.
I like it when this happens.
Water everywhere. And it's good. It's catchy.
It's certainly catchy, like gonorrhea. Hey, in part 2 of this week's Shooby Dooby Doo Wop, guess what we'll be doing, James? We've just gone from numbers 10 to 6. What on earth can we be doing?
10 to 6 again?
Yeah, we're going to just talk about these records again, and we also might mention the top 5 that were in the charts from the 2nd of October 1957, a long time ago, but here's a little taste of what's to come. It's weird with Tommy Steele and that Calypso, because he was also saying a few years ago he took Harry Belafonte around Llandudno for a while, which...
They had a lovely day out.
There's also a challenger for Hot Banana in this record, which is Biddy Biddy Bom Bom.
You know, it's I love you with all my heart. And it's like, all right, calm down.
Probably would have been more commercially viable for, let's call it, the audience to, rather than a big gay black man screaming Tutti Frutti and looking demonic.
Check out our Spotify and YouTube playlists. Let us know your thoughts at shoobypodcast@gmail.com. And for the songs that aren't in the top 10, join our Patreon community and become a subscriber.
Our Patreon community, where we talk about these songs that never ever made the top 10. Very interesting. In some ways, often stronger than this show, I'm going to say, James, just for the sake of luring people in to give us a bit of money, really. Thanks to every artist who contributed to every record in this charts in 1957. Thanks to everybody who bought these singles back in the day. But mainly, thank you for listening. Please rate and review, subscribe, follow, share, all that kind of stuff. Until next time, whatever you do, don't forget to shooby dooby doo wop.
Bop bop shoo up.